Wow, how do you do? Welcome to another edition of XFeed, where we go through the entire timeline, at least from the other day. We had the ASM thing. I missed yesterday. We're not going to talk about it. And yeah, we got to talk about Project Dragon. A bunch of different collections have their activations out. Things are starting to go live. The narratives are being formed. And you get to make your mind up of what you like and what you dislike. Hell yeah. But hopefully you like this video because you're the best. Let's get into it. Whether you're Team Orange or Team Aquamarine, one thing we do know is that you don't read. Well, we do here, but generally speaking, here's a quick tutorial for Project Dragon tomorrow from Yuga.
Welcome back to the other side, and welcome to Metropolis. This tutorial will cover the basics of navigating Project Dragon, including key mechanics and goals. If you're familiar with PC gaming, using WASD controls will come naturally. The game is also compatible with gamepad controllers, but don't worry, you'll get some time in the lobby to get used to mechanics like walking, jumping, double jumping, and gliding. You can choose between assault and support classes, each with specialized weaponry, and you can select spawn points throughout Metropolis. Now, class selection will dictate combat and weapons. The assault class will have access to the Ass Blaster, a semi-automatic shotgun, as well as Death Nut, a grenade with a blast radius. Support class will have access to Noob Ray Gun, which provides a cone of area damage to foes and healing to allies. Support class will also have Protect Your Boys Bubble, which generates a protective shield for team members. Capturing and defending beacons is the objective. Each spawn point has a control beacon. Capturing the enemy's beacon scores points. Losing your beacon means you lose that spawn point. Victory requires depleting the opposing team's beacon power. Controlling more beacons reduces the enemy's power faster. For more details and controls on mechanics, refer to the manual, and we'll see you on the other side.
Okay, so the gun shots or whatever look real weird on like first glance, but it's got a huge Fortnite type vibe. The way that city looked in the beginning, this definitely has that. They even had like the launch pad out on kind of like the water here. I know it's a completely different setup, and I don't think they're necessarily being like, oh yeah, we want to look like Fortnite or whatever, but I definitely felt that kind of vibe looking at this. So I'm excited to try it, but yeah, the gunshots, for whatever reason, that did not look super exciting that way, and like the gameplay clips of them shooting felt like they were going by really quick, and the one looked kind of laggy. So we'll see. Maybe it's just a trailer, but hopefully tomorrow it goes smoothly. And I'm Tolly. Good morning. Now, the other day we missed this, but Doodles did announce Doodles TV, a next-gen direct-to-community media platform that bridges the gap between artists and communities, enabling them to experience and own a piece of the cultural moments that matter before anyone else. Create, collect, and connect. Hell yeah. And then there's just that. I don't know if there's anything else. It says base, so I guess that's going to be launching on base, but I feel like I need a little bit more info to really be able to depict what that is. Where did all the energy about Blast and Blur go? I mean, I think the timeline's distracted about everything under the sun, but it does definitely feel like the Blast narrative isn't as prevalent as it was before with the tokens that were around. CBB, again, one of the huge whale farmers on there that was not happy with how things went, said, feels bad for projects building on Blast. For months now, the team has went radio silent without even trying to design any cool stuff for this Shiza coin. As farmers, we can just move on from it, but as builders, they must really feel trapped in this failure. Oh my goodness. People are dogging it, but Jennifer coming through saying Blast is dead. Bruh, Blast has barely been around for 5 months, which, I mean, you know, fair enough. Let's look at Blast versus base, DeFi, TVL, and as you can see here, for Blast, it's 1.273 billion, and base 1.764 billion. So surprisingly close, you know, a couple $100 million off. No big deal that way, but it is, you know, to be honest, I was kind of surprised looking at that, being like, damn, you know, that's not actually too far off, and just obviously some extra charts if you're wanting to pause the video to look at what those are. That said, I just wanted to kind of highlight something that I thought was interesting. Now, if you don't know, this is Parasite, and he is a Call of Duty world champion. If you watch The Flank at all, I'm really into esports, and he's one of the co-hosts on it, and he posted this. He said, birthday present to me, and I'm like, damn, a Louis Vuitton chain? That's got to be super expensive. I look it up, $1,500. I'm assuming this is American.com. Yeah, it's all Canadian. Yeah, we're talking close to like 17, 18 hundo. That's a lot. But then I'm like, damn, people go out there, they buy chains. We out here buying NFTs. Hell yeah. But what have you gained from holding NFTs? Well, do we even look at the comment section of this? 488. Some are saying financial losses. Some are saying the greatest friends ever. Well, it's pretty much all the comments. All of them are just saying we made friends along the way. So if you guys are here and what you gain from NFTs is hanging out here on the stream, well, hell yeah, brother. Okay. Further, some Call of Duty shoes. All this stuff, it's reminding me of NFTs. First, we got people spending thousands of dollars on luxury goods, and then we got limited editions going out there. This Nate Shot X Adidas shoe, thought these were super, super cool. And over in Guild of Guardians, they've been highlighting how, well, the game is out, but more so that the guilds are starting to form. And I don't know what to think about this because the top 4 guilds for Guild of Guardians is just all this Kratos guild. So way back in the day, for anybody that wasn't around, there was a lot of big players that went out and were like, we're going to go and buy a ton of, whether it be Gods Unchained cards, Guild of Guardians assets, the different Web3 games overall. People were putting a ton into it, and a lot of these guilds tried forming. I think like Yield Guild Games was one of them. They ended up launching a token as well. But just interesting to see with that notion starting. We see Kratos Guild here. Is this going to then seep into other games, or are they going to simply hold here for Guild of Guardians? Very excited to watch. Breaking: Ferrari to accept Bitcoin and crypto payments in Europe after a successful launch in the US. Again, all the stuff with crypto, it's really about who's going to accept it. We say, okay, well, we don't, pay our monthly rent in Bitcoin. Well, no, but, if the service providers offer that, well, maybe there's just going to be a different way to pay for things in the future. Cool to see. Area 6545 here. If you're not familiar with the Walker World collection, they are partnered with Futureverse, and you can stake eggs if you happen to have any Fluff World eggs. And so they have a store that I haven't actually checked out yet. So far I have 5,200 ooze. To buy a thingy, I need 1 million ooze. Are you kidding me? 500,000 for an ag seeker, 270,000. I mean, I'm not great at math, but that's going to take an absolute lifetime based on how much that's happened. But also, it's interesting when you look at like seekers, the ASM All Stars, the buzzies and thingies. When you're looking at like the different prices of them, are they the same? For party bears, is it worth 1 million for a party bear and a thingy? Is it better to grab a couple of seekers? The floor prices aren't really that different from them. So curious if these guys end up changing anything in particular, but they also have a raffle as well, but there's nothing on there. Partners, which looks like most of the collections. Kind of neat to see it again. It's just soft staking, so you don't actually have to do anything. You just have the assets and you're good to go. Okay, so a little bit of Clone X FUD here. What is going on? So I got my replacement Clone X model, which I didn't even know they were giving out, and this is what I received. I'm not upset, but I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know what to feel anymore. Okay, so, yeah, I guess this is like just like a silver character of some sort, and their original package of such was broken. So I just opened my box after seeing this, and I got a broken head too. Quality is really bad considering it's supposed to be ARR. Also, I can't find any label on the box that says ARR. Feels anyone else face this issue? Again, just highlighting these different things. It's always interesting because we have so many collections that are kind of top of mind in terms of quality, the production, and everybody really judges on these things, to be honest, right? Like you don't hold doodles. Maybe you do. Maybe you hold artifact. Maybe you don't, but you see these things, you recognize it and be like, okay, this is, what we kind of expect moving forward. So I've been talking about real world assets here and there, of course, as I've mentioned before. If you guys do want to hear me kind of in a different light, talking with some of the pros in the real world asset space, be sure to check out the description below where I have a link to the RWA Segments podcast or on my bio on X. And Collector Crypt is somebody that we actually had a interview with a while ago. And the notion of NFTs, what's going to happen? Well, Pokemon cards here. Your favorite NFT might not be doing a whole lot, but a Venusaur first edition just sold for $16 and it's tokenized. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like an interesting take. It makes me think of the way that when we were explaining like the NFT communities and everything else. So this one says, everyone just belongs to small cults now. Different flavors for everyone. Run club cults, chess club cults, longevity qualification of self cults, yoga therapy on rooftop cults, etc., etc. One thing that's great about 2024 that really doesn't get enough, I think, attention is that everybody's able to connect over these things. Now, not all the time are you going to have like a runners club that's global, but if you have an interest of something, you can find a podcast about it, a group of people, really dive into it, and you can just kind of decide how crazy do you want to go with your particular passion. And of course, everybody's in cults. It's just passionate, but if you don't like it, you call it a cult. Yeah, weirdo. All right, the other day, 48,000 Bitcoin, $3 billion was transferred from an unknown wallet to Kraken. Don't know what the hell that means, other than holy smokes, imagine hitting send on that transaction and making sure that you get the right address. The other day, 1.1 trillion was wiped out from the US stock market. Now, again, this is over on the 24th. Today is 26th, so we're about 2 days out, but wow, did we ever see a huge red day on the market? The exact same time, 100 million got liquidated from the cryptocurrency market. And that was just within a 60-minute period at the time. Going to look over on the Bitcoin chart, you can see on the 7-day, we just went absolutely downward. Kind of crazy, but still getting a ton of volatility. Seen in the stock market particularly, that's interesting. All right, if you haven't seen, well, the NBA rejected the Warner Bros. Offer to get the NBA. So now it's going on Amazon, which is interesting. But for anybody that's been following the Futureverse ecosystem, they're partnered with Warner Bros. And they've talked a lot about sports. And to be honest, if the NBA ended up going to Warner Bros., well, what kind of window does that open up? I'm curious, behind the scenes, did that shut any doors? Did that open up any different opportunities? How big of a blow was this? Obviously, at the time, you submit an offer and you don't know if you're going to get it. So I don't know how many things were in motion, but just, it made me think of that. Pixel Vault, when Play Battle Plan, which was their game, was live, we hit 600,000 game sessions, 37,000 unique wallets, 1,000 concurrent players, and 2.5 hours per player per day. Now imagine all of this on the same chain. That other side and Bored Ape Yacht Club and everybody else uses it. But the point being is just the amount of transactions and everything that goes on here, whether it's micro payments, whether it's people playing, depending on how many people you can get on board, it's going to be spicy. So there was this thing talking about top 5 things when due diligencing founders, and I think I saved the wrong component of this because there was like a post saying we don't like when people that are founders are out there highlighting meme coins and other aspects of things, and I'm like, okay, well I guess that's one part, but like to a further point, when you're looking up founders and things, whenever you go and buy something from a store, do you go and find out the store clerk? Why is this only something that happens in NFTs? Well, it's because there's kind of like a broader expectation. Now, then it goes back to the arguments of like stocks and, finding out the founders from there. And then it's like, hold on, these worlds really do mesh, even though we're trying to say, oh no, like NFTs and all that stuff aren't the same as stocks. It's, food for thought within that. Block Lords, here's a little bit of some gameplay from this, as it was highlighted with Mochaverse the other day. Something's going on between them, where stakers of Mocha are apparently getting some tokens. Game looks kind of interesting. Don't mind it. Excited to see if we're getting these more higher quality blockchain games, though. Love to see it. Shen highlighting that Gen 3 Games is in partnership with Futureverse, and they are bringing the Zertmon IP through Untamed Isles. Now, Untamed Isles was a game that was on Kickstarter, ended up kind of going sideways or not a whole lot happening. So very interesting seeing this get brought back. The other day, I was on the train of why do we need more monster mon battles, yada yada yada, but I swallowed my pride. The following day said everybody's just going to do it, and we'll see who ends up doing it best. So very interesting to see that we do have kind of a monster hunter type game coming to Root Network. Ether saying happy 1st anniversary, but like, am I crazy? I thought Ether has not said anything. They said loading. This is what I'm saying. What's going on? These guys say happy birthday, but then also we got nothing going on since April. What in the halibut? Justin Vanek predicts $2.9 million Bitcoin price by 2050. So on that RWA segments podcast that I do, I was actually able to interview the head of research for Vanek. That was Patrick Bush. And so if you want to hear a wild conversation talking about DeepIn and whatnot, again, in the description below on the YouTube or in my bio on X, but hot diggity damn. Guys, if we can live to 2050 and buy Bitcoin, or at least a whole one, you got 2.9 million. At least says Van Eck. Not bad, not bad. This is kind of cool. Decrypt Tax set up a booth at an event, just kind of highlighting about crypto tax, et cetera, et cetera. But it makes you think, like when you go to these events, you recognize a Bored Ape, the Mutant, the dog. Does it actually make you feel like, hey, I'm more familiar and would actually want to talk or discuss with those individuals? Because again, when you go in public, I went out in public today. I met some friends. They now live out in Florida, but I grew up with them. And I was like, man, I don't even know how to begin. They're like, what do you do? And I'm like, how do I explain NFTs and all of this to them? Because it feels like we're still at a stage where it's hard to explain that stuff, right? Oh, Artifact, we're glad to see your shoes have arrived. Hope you enjoy them. Cool little video here, just highlighting quality, production, to be honest, quite quality. Heavy metal equals maximum interoperability. Shooting, sewer diving, cigarette manufacturing, island hopping, and more. So waiting to see exactly what's going on with Faraway and all of their different games. They're getting a huge swath of them, from the Serum City to the new Shatter line to having the Legends of the Mara and everything else, including, well, I mean, I guess like Dookie Dash is like kind of a part of it, but it's interesting now that we're seeing the heavy metal IP getting integrated in a much bigger way that felt like, okay, not a whole lot was going on with it. Going over to Azuki here, Zagabon, the founder, says Azuki has an IP that Web2 is craving. Check the YouTube comments. Apparently people are excited about it. A stacked team of operators, devs, and artists, a global passionate community, and together we're going after a $30 billion industry. Anime 2.0. Haven't seen a hyped NFT mint since Crypto Undeads. I remember at the time I was like, why is everybody hyped up about this? And that worked out horribly. Is there nothing in the pipeline which has gotten people excited? Well, it goes back to the notion of how many NFTs really have gotten people excited, where we've seen any kind of uptick in demand for them. I feel like there's very, very few cases as of late, but we're waiting and seeing what moves the needle. Bored Ape Yacht Club having their From the Bodega featuring the Happy Ape, which they're focusing on kind of a kid's book and IP, which is really, really neat, and I love to see that aspect of things. Permissionless, guys, have you ever looked at the prices of these things? Absolutely insane, similar to the bird going crazy in the background, but we're almost done, so I'll go deal with that in a momentaro. But if you're going to buy tickets for this thing, this is one of the events, right? $499 for an event pass. Absolutely insane. But at the same time, if this is covering 3 different days, I guess if you break it down, it's not too bad. But I am always confused why these prices aren't more accessible. Is it because the venues aren't that big and they only want the people that got the money bags? Is it cause why? I don't get it. I don't get it. Yes, the bird's going absolutely crazy. And Atari, good to see you. Wrapping up here in a moment. This is the final. Wow, sorry, there's one more after this. But Sam Withers here talked about how they spent $1,000 in Illuvium and played for 14 hours, and this is their takeaway. I feel like whenever you're trying to shill something in a positive way, you got to be aware of the perspectives of everybody reading this. And the comments, as soon as I read this first line, I was like, comments gonna just absolutely lace this guy. And they're like, I'm not playing a game that you have to spend $1,000 in. It's like, no, the individual paid $1,000 for. So again, the marketing, the narrative, everything else, guys, just be careful if you're trying to highlight something, how it comes across. But I guess it does, $1,000 on a video game. Sheesh. And look at the bread cooking. When you're on your timeline and you got all the drama, all the NFTs, everything else, why don't you stop for a minute and just watch the baking happen? That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, if you missed any of the other ones this week, if you go back and check out the live channel, you are able to see that. And we've gone over a ton of different things. Very excited to see what we got cooking next week, because I kind of thought, hey, July is going to be a massive month for things. And it's felt like it's been announcements of announcements. You know what I mean? It's announcements of announcements. Let that bread cook. Please link me that. Isn't this the craziest video you've seen? Everything looks so scrumptious. I started looking up like local bakeries this morning. Yo, look at the croissant. Look at that buttery, flaky croissant. That's it for me. Have yourself a good one. Poppy, thank you so much.